Hey, Wrestling World, keep up with the culture and listen to this episode in full on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Make sure to give us a follow on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook and fall under the influence.
It's that part in the podcast where cultural influence wouldn't be cultural influence without going over the hottest stories in the form of a hot tag. So one story I want to talk about is WWE spring. Well, it's not spring no more. Summer cleaning, should I say? They've avoided putting it off, but according to Pro Wrestling World, WWE firings are expected in July. So, there's a lot of concern about it. And Richie, before I go ahead and put my hot tag on it, what is your take on it, man?
We all knew this was coming. As with any major company that has been acquired by another corporation, they're going to assess everybody's finances, and cuts are to be expected.
Valid.
I'm assuming a lot of people that are in the offices are going to be cut, and then I'm assuming there's going to be quite a bit of talent that is going to be cut as well.
Unfortunately.
And I don't want to put a name on it because I don't like sitting here gambling and betting on people losing their livelihoods. I just hope that
this is how families are fed, for crying out loud.
Yeah. I just hope I hope the cuts are to a minimum and everybody lands on their feet. There's enough wrestling out there in the world for everybody to eat and succeed, but whenever I hear the cuts are coming, I'm like, oh boy, start holding my head, bro.
Yeah. And with you saying that actually goes into my take, man. I think this is a good time to be a big or somewhat of a decent wrestling promotion with some extra chump change in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? And I know Tony Khan probably pinching them pockets, rubbing his hands once them releases get announced. So
you ever seen that Michael Jordan meme where his earphones? Tony Khan when he hears about WWE releases coming.
In fact, yeah, agree. So yeah, man. So once again, it's not the end. It's not the end of the world for most talent, should you say? Because I think us wrestling fans, I don't think we fully understand the transition from going to a wrestling fan to being back in society, man. It's really hard. It's really hard. You can't really just go one day from being on the biggest wrestling promotion in the world to, I don't know, having a regular job and trying to be stimulated back in society.
Yeah.
You don't really hear about other guys who get released and who are just working at a Walmart or whatever and stuff like that. So yeah, man, that's one thing we definitely need to talk about. But one thing I want to point out before, because I don't want to spend too much time on this segment, is will this be a scuff as we approach the 1-year regime for Triple H? Because later, let me tease another episode. Me and Richie will be doing an interactive episode where we overview Triple H's run under creative in this full year. We're approaching a 1-year anniversary since Triple H just took over. And within that year of Triple H taking over, we've seen him bring back a lot of guys. Now, will some of those guys be re-released? You just don't know. And if they are, is that going to be a negative in the Triple H regime?
If it does, it can't reflect too poorly upon Triple H because, as we all know, shortly into his run, as he was catching steam, the big bad wolf came back.
Exactly.
And whether you want to admit it or not, that obviously had some hand to do with the way some talents were handled.
Agreed.
So, and then also the company was bought. So there's just so many different factors that go into Triple H's first year. He wasn't allowed to just have the ship to himself completely.
It was a tainted run, should you say?
A little bit, but
okay.
I like where we are.
Yeah, okay. Cool. So save your smoke for later because that's gonna be a whole nother episode. I just want to point this out with the whole firings coming because I don't want to just sit there. I don't want to be a person brought back under the Triple H regime only to be told that, hey, yo, we letting you go again.
Right. And there's a lot of you sick wrestling fans is out there counting the days off because you can't wait for somebody to be released because you don't like these people. You know what I'm saying? You a wild wrestling fan if you at home counting down the days where it's like, oh yeah, I can't wait for this guy to get released. These are people with families, bro. Like, I don't want anybody to really get fired, but business is business.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is just what happens.
Yeah. And speaking of other wrestling promotions that could grab these talent, AEW has grabbed some talent. And in the form of this talent being a wrestler, no, but this is a one-off appearance, and it's from one of my favorite wrestlers, Sabu. Seeing Sabu on national television on AEW, man, for the first time last time I think we seen Sabu on national television was when TNA was on Spike years ago. So it's every bit of 10 years. I'm personally excited to see Sabu, because every time I see Sabu, it felt like a big deal.
Yeah.
So my one big problem is, what the fuck is he doing with Adam Cole and Chris Jericho?
Bro,
He has no business with him.
I mean, he might have some history with Chris Jericho, but I'm not like immediately aware of it because I just don't remember the ECW stuff like that.
Yeah, and these guys aren't even hardcore wrestlers. Like I could see them inserting it with some shit with John Moxley, but this ain't got like, bro, come on, man.
Yeah, like you said, like, Sabu is a great story in wrestling. You know, I saw a tweet from X-Pac that said, "I've never saw somebody give so much pro wrestling and get less in return than Sabu." You know, Sabu is probably a lot of your favorite wrestlers' influences. You know what I'm saying? Sabu,
RVD.
Yeah, Rey Mysterio.
RVD said Sabu influenced him in so many ways.
Yeah. Sabu was great, man. Like you said, the double, triple jump moonsaults and everything. Sabu legit. Sabu is a madman. Some of the stories, you know, him putting his body back together with
taping his in the middle
like,
of a match.
You know what I'm saying? The scars and stuff all over his body. Like Sabu's body tells a story. You know, and it's cool seeing it, but like you said, it doesn't really. The correlation isn't matching up.
Yeah,
you know?
it doesn't. But Tony Khan, according to Tony Khan, he says just a one-off appearance. We don't know where the ship will take us. And there's controversy for Sabu's name already for some stuff that has transpired.
See, I don't have any ill feelings towards Sabu. My only issue with the Sabu thing is AEW. If you set a precedent with your company where you're banning Hulk Hogan, or you know you want to be, you know, super righteous in your appearance, that's fine, but keep that same energy across the board. You know what I'm saying? You can't say, oh, we're gonna ban Hulk Hogan and Linda Hogan just for internet and wrestling kudos, and then have Sabu on here who was saying, you know, controversial stuff more recently than Hulk Hogan and legit said the same kind of stuff and then doubled down on it. You know, he might have issued an apology, but so did Hogan, and he still looked at how he is. You know, so it's just, keep that same energy if you're going to keep that energy. But if you're just going to be a business and run as a business, then do that, you know?
Yeah, valid.
You know, because nobody's going to be wrong at you. Nobody's going to be mad at you for trying to do the right thing. But when you do the right thing and have exceptions.
Yeah, it makes you look sideways. And the one thing I will point out about that, like kind of go back to what we said earlier, with them bringing Sabu in a purposeful, you know, with thing that have no real purpose and stuff like that, it just goes to show you that they're just bringing in Sabu to get eyes on the product.
Yeah.
And so, like, for them to sit there and bring Sabu in just to bring eyes on the product, knowing that they done set this high standard of, you know, hey, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
It kind of makes them look like a hypocrite in a sense.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that.
It's just a lot of virtue signaling going on, you know, because we give WWE crap all the time for all of their, you know, stuff that they do. Like, WWE is notoriously problematic, you know.
Oh, most definitely.
So if you want to be the antithesis of that, you got to keep that same energy with everybody across the board, you know. Yeah. And so that's why it's kind of a double-edged sword. You know,
it is,
because you like Sabu, but you know Sabu comes with a little bit of baggage.
He does come with a little bit of baggage, man. But let's go ahead and segue into, you know, speaking of AEW news, let's go ahead and segue into RIP. You know, one time for Elevation in AEW Dark, because with the launch of AEW Collision, that means that Dark and Elevation will no longer be active. So, you know, it's kind of bittersweet. I'm not about to sit here and be one of those people that say, oh my God, I watched Elevation and I watched Dark. Bro, I didn't. Like, the only time I watched Dark was when my boy, shout outs to Baron Black, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, for the culture. Yeah, when he was on AEW. So yeah, that was the only time I might have watched it a couple of times. Moxley might have been in there. I've watched it when Orange Cassidy appeared, but
I saw Danny B's match not too long ago on there. She had her match on I don't know, it was one of them AEW YouTube shows. But yeah, I had to support, you know, Shawty from OKC.
Oh yeah, for sure. We getting you on the show, you know, so don't worry. You know, just respond to my message whenever you get time. Danny B. That's gonna be a running gag on the show now, y'all. Danny B on Cultural Influence. You know, she heard it first.
yeah. No, that was the last time I watched it, and probably the first time I watched it that I can remember. You know, so.
Yeah. So,
but I do know that it was just a great tool for up and coming guys that want to get on. You know, we talked to Working was trying to get on. You know what I'm saying? We were talking like Sterling Bond and D'Angelo. You know, like that was a goal for guys. So I hate that that's not being taken. That's not going to be there anymore.
Unfortunately,
but from what I understand, that's supposed to be what Rampage is going to be for now.
Okay, and it's going to be on national television. Praise God.
So that's a good look. You know, I will say though, with the AEW show coming up, having a weekly Saturday show at 7, that's kind of a tall order.
It is.
You know,
you're sitting a real big precedent, man. For that.
It's kind of hard to sit there and say like, oh, we're gonna watch this weekly Saturday show during this like a 7 o'clock slot on Saturday is wild.
It is.
You know, there's a lot of sports that come on, like football games, basketball.
Go Miami Heat. As of this recording, they are playing the Boston Celtics. But anyway, continue. I just want to put that out there.
But I know that's something that I can't commit to. You know, there's so much wrestling that comes on during the week. It's hard to just be like, I watch every single wrestling show that comes on every single day. Because if you wanted to watch wrestling every day throughout the week, you would be watching wrestling on Monday, Tuesday, when like MLW, Impact, AEW.
It's just I ain't gonna say it's impossible, but I mean, like,
bro, I got stuff to do, son. I got a family. I got a girl. Like, there's movies I want to go see. Like, it's hard to just sit there.
We're nerds. We're black nerds, guys.
Show that's out there. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch every Collision, and I'm super excited to watch it. But I definitely will if I can, you know. But it's gonna be expendable, especially when like pay-per-views start coming on. On Saturdays.
And there is a rumored brand split. There's going to be rumored rosters from Dynamite, and there's going to be a rumored roster for Collision. So I don't know. I'm taking that with a big grain of salt because Tony Khan teased like, hey, we got more coming in regards to the show. So I'm wondering if that's what it's probably about because, of course, CM Punk has been teased for Collision. I don't want to talk too much about the whole CM Punk situation, but they're supposed to keep him away from certain guys on the Collision show. And I mean, I think having CM Punk wrestle on Saturday nights, that kind of addresses that Saturday night primetime hole that you were talking about.
Yeah, you know, I don't know, man.
Like I said, Tony Khan,
you're going to be really testing his drawing power to see if people are going to tune in every Saturday to watch that. Like today, when we watched Night of Champions, 12 was such a good time.
It was.
It was early.
It was a matinee.
Yeah, it was like a matinee showing. You got it knocked out and you were good. I remember when I was a kid, I would watch WCW Saturday night, and it would come on at like 6:05. You know, it was a good little time, and it was on for an hour, maybe an hour and a half at the most if something was going to happen. And you got in and got out. But 2 hours every Saturday, oh man, brother, you know, I don't know. It seems like a risk, but hopefully it pays off.
True. On to our next story. I think we need to do some segment for the women's wrestling. So one story I want to talk about is Alicia Fox. You know, she still got a lot left in the tank, in the words of the great Mark Henry, man. So apparently she was on Melina's podcast. Melina, she's my first wrestling crush back in the day, you know, her beautiful self. She said, you know, she's not done wrestling. The Machine said that she's done wrestling. And so she's kind of reiterated that she wants to get back in the ring. It doesn't need to be the WWE. I'm excited about it. Like, I feel good about it because I think it was like, I feel like it was just randomly on one Raw that she was referred to as a legend. And I'm like, wait, huh? Alicia Fox is a legend now?
Hey, like, she was the first Black Divas champion. Put some respect on her name. Best Northern Lights suplex in the business.
I was just about to say that. I was about to say
she got a sexy belly button. Put some respect on her name.
Audi guy, but hey, man, that ain't. I ain't agreeing with him on that one.
Nah, bro, wildin', man. Nah, I'm happy that she still has the itch to wrestle. You know what I'm saying? Get out here and make it happen. Shout outs to my girl Trinity and Impact doing that damn thing right now. Shout outs to our girl Sasha Banks who's taking it wrestling
go ahead and
worldwide.
Yeah, go ahead.
Feel me?
Yeah, let me go ahead and segue into the next story. So the pro wrestling world is reporting that she is under a longer term deal in Japan.
Hey, and I just want to wish her a speedy recovery. She was in New Japan Strong last week, fighting for the first, I want to say, New Japan Strong Women's Championship against Willow Nightingale. She had a foot injury, an ankle injury of some sort, called it on the fly, and now our girl Willow Nightingale is the first New Japan Strong Women's Champion. You feel me? So it's like Sasha out here making moves, putting other chicks over. You know, it's all in the hard day's work, man. But you know, that's GOAT team. So shout out to Sasha. Oh, my fault. Mercedes Monè.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. And I think like with her signing this deal, because everyone said, you know, oh, she's only signing a shorter deal because she wants to eventually return to WWE or appear on wherever she wants to appear. Well, I don't think that's the case no more. And I'm starting to think that might have been New Japan's case in regards to seeing her drawing power. Because when they did that show in San Jose and they announced that she would be there, like like that. Tickets was going like that. So, just another deal for proving that you a GOAT and stuff like that. And people thought she was really being cocky when she said she deserves to be mentioned in the same breath as Kenny and Roman. I mean, hey, yo, bro, prove them.
Prove it. You know what I'm saying? They are making titles for this woman. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So you know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do. I mean, we went a whole year of hearing Becky Lynch refer to herself as the man. So why can't Sasha? You feel me?
Becky be calling herself the GOAT, and I ain't seen her have nearly as many great matches that Sasha Banks has had.
Hey, we gonna say that conversation later.
Hey, but shout outs to Becky. Though.
Yeah, shout outs.
Trish was dope.
It was. Zoe Stark. I'm starting to. She growing on me.
Yeah, now Zoe cool. That little finisher she got is nice.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But staying on topic of women's wrestling, Tony Khan pushing Willow. Push Willow Nightingale. You got to. You got to, bro. That's all we need.
Oh, for sure.